Hey everybody, it's Rob Scott from UC Today, and here we are again for our March monthly Microsoft Teams update with Tom Arbuthnot. Welcome, Tom.
Yeah, hey, morning Rob, how's it going?
Yeah, very good, thanks, very good. Looking forward to this one today, Tom. Lots happening in the world, lots of crazy things I'd never expected in my life to see. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is Microsoft Teams and how they're handling the COVID-19 epidemic. So what's life like from your side?
Yeah, well, I guess obviously first and foremost, it's loved ones and families and all that stuff, but also people are trying to do the best they can to get along, and remote working is a big part of that, and therefore Teams is a big part of that for lots of people. So you'll be unsurprised to know there's been some pretty crazy growth in usage of Microsoft Teams. Microsoft announced that they've had 500% increase since Jan 31st. And they're going to announce some more figures, I think, shortly to show the scale of the growth. But it is absolutely crazy in terms of so many orgs that have Office 365 and are entitled to Teams but didn't have active remote working are now flipping over. So for example, one of our customers enabled 60,000 users in a week for full service, like that kind of pace of let's just enable everybody and get it going. So yeah, unprecedented growth. I'm sure it's the same on other platforms as well, but yeah, pretty crazy the things that are happening around the world. But at least we have some of this technology to sort of mitigate some of the impact.
Absolutely, and we're seeing that from our side. Our website is lit up like a Christmas tree at the moment in terms of traffic, because everyone's looking at working from home technology, and Microsoft Teams is right in the middle of that conversation and those searches on Google. So when you say 500% increase in Microsoft Teams, I mean, they've got a 20 million daily active user kind of statistic or number at the moment, have they? So would you potentially times that by 5?
So the 500% is load. So you've got to bear in mind that is meetings being used more. So that's load on the infrastructure rather than number of users. However, I would expect that daily number to go up significantly. And so I think we'll find out in the coming weeks what that number's gone up by. But it's really the switch in everybody doing meetings that's the big load increase. So that's interesting from a Microsoft point of view because the infrastructure has to handle that, and they're fortunate in a way that they're a cloud provider as well. They've got all the Azure capacity, so they can just branch out. So if you're a meetings provider and you're not a cloud provider, you have to go to AWS, Rackspace, Amazon, Azure, Google, and scale out. And I'm sure those other platforms are doing that too, to deal with their demand increases.
Yeah, this is a real test for cloud infrastructure, though, isn't it? Because everyone just assumes it's infinitely scalable, it's elastic, it's agile. But literally, the demand is so high and it spikes so fast that this is truly it's really shining a light on the true scalability of these cloud platforms.
It really, really is, and like that, obviously this is all maths and commercials, so everybody sells it thinking there's a certain utilization rate. So now they're being put to the test. You said this was licensed for this many users, then I can use it this many users concurrently. That's how it works. And there have been a few, I think we should talk about, there have been a few blips in service clearly as Microsoft have scaled up. So there's been some modalities or a 10-minute period where we can connect to meetings. There were some load balancing issues on the back end. Microsoft put an announcement out saying they're reducing the speed of presence updates and the little typing notification, when you're typing a chat, because that kind of compute is really expensive at scale. So rather to keep it all stable, they're just throttling back some of those things. And on some conferences, they're throttling back video resolution if they have to as well. So to keep the scale going, they're kind of balancing features as well, which is interesting.
Yeah, and it sounds like a very sensible approach, because if you've got that strain on your platform or your infrastructure, you've got to make those moves. You can't just let it fall over and completely disrupt the world.
No. None of those features are kind of, in the strictest sense, business impacting. It's like, well, my presence might update slightly slower, and it doesn't really matter. I also think it's pretty interesting that Microsoft have offered 6 months free as well, which is at a time of scaling again is just like anybody can use this for free for 6 months. They've given it free to the NHS, I understand, as well, which is 1.5 million people. So like they are not just dealing with the load they sold, but they're dealing with anybody who wants to come along as well.
Yeah, which is just unimaginable how much additional load that's going to put on the infrastructure, compute and everything else. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see those numbers as they come out. So maybe by the time this video goes out, that those numbers might actually be available. But we'll post it. We'll put it in the notes if as soon as they do announce those numbers. But really interesting. And you're quite close to the front line, Tom, in terms of customers. You know, how are they acting in the enterprise? You mentioned, you know, they are literally racing home and putting some, you know, pretty big numbers on Microsoft Teams to work remotely. So what's the kind of feeling out there at the moment?
Yeah, it's like lots of the orgs we work with by their nature are more prepared for this, like because we do this stuff all day, every day. But we're certainly seeing a big push to from Skype server to Teams. So obviously server, you build it, you have a modeling where you think this many people are going to work from home. You usually don't model for 100% of your users to work from home. So you've got to think about firewalls and internet bandwidth, not just the server capacity. So lots of customers that have Office 365 are lighting up Teams in parallel just to deal with the meeting workload, to scale it out. And lots of customers are coming to us for a bit of support, not just on technology, but on culture. Like how do we deal with we used to let people like work at home on a Wednesday occasionally. Now we're thinking we might be multiple weeks or months 100% from home. How do we deal with that piece of the puzzle, not just the tech?
Yeah, and any top tips for any kind of business looking to move to Teams quickly, scale that fast? Anything that you would say that really to bear in mind?
I think like it's not that difficult to turn on fast. There's a few kind of security and governance things that you need to think about in terms of where the data is and everything else, but like technically you can turn this on pretty quickly. Think about like how you communicate to your users, what's available, how they use it, best practice. Lots of people are going to be working from home who don't have the perfect space to work from home or have a headset or mute, using mute diligently. If you're in a low bandwidth scenario, maybe you don't use video, because actually as long as the audio is fine, it's fine. But I think mostly it's just give users flexibility and understanding. Like everybody's dealing with this, trust your workers. Like people are going to have to deal with family commitments, the schools are closing on Friday. So the overriding thing for me is empower and trust while we go through this, and like your users, your organization are all going to mostly be wanting to do the right thing. We know this from remote working. If you trust people and give them empower, they'll get their job done. So I think this might be a big shift for the whole world on how much respect there is to like working from home and not seeing because you're in the office you're working. Like I think that will change from this.
I'm really glad you said that, because I echo that. I think it's transformational for the business world. For the companies that haven't really gone through that digital transformation process, it's really going to shine a light on why a lot of businesses are doing this, and the people working from home. It's just got to move that way now. It's we've got to be able to deal with situations like this. But I think absolutely. So it's a great. The positive in it is really just that this technology is available and it can help you in situations like this. So
I mean, if this was pre-decent cloud platforms, this would be a different conversation, because like there'd be a few businesses that had a server or equivalent in their environment and could get away with this. But if like, say these orgs couldn't just flick on 100,000 seats like that, like you can't do that with server. So this is in some ways a really interesting time for the cloud.
Yeah, I don't think you could have done it with a coal diver back 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. You would have been at a standstill. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's another. I mean, it's a massive month for Microsoft Teams, given that what's happened and how they're dealing with that. So respect to Microsoft for what they're doing. They are really trying hard, and equally, Bill Gates has recently kind of left the business, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's come off the board now, so he's going to do full-time philanthropy stuff. Obviously, that's a good place for him to be and be focusing his energies, to be honest. I mean, clearly, if you look at Microsoft growth rates, if you look at the stock, they're in very good hands at the moment with Satya Nadella, so I think he probably feels comfortable it's all going in the right direction, to be honest.
Yeah, given that Bill Gates is a real fantastic philanthropist, I imagine he's a very, very busy man right now. So
yeah, absolutely.
Good luck to him. Well, moving on from COVID-19 and coronavirus, what else is happening in the world of Microsoft Teams, Tom?
Yeah, so everything a little bit secondary to that, but there's still other things going on. So we got an announcement about device management in the Teams Admin Center. So Microsoft have been working to expand their device portfolio. They have obviously all the USB type devices, they have IP phones, they have Microsoft Teams rooms, and they have a new type of device, which is called a collaboration bar, which is an Android-based bar that sits on top of a monitor. Think like a sound bar with a camera built in, basically. And what they're doing on the Teams Admin Center is giving you a place to manage your IP phones, your collab bars, and eventually your Microsoft Teams rooms in different sections, applying policies, controlling them. So just tidying up that management experience for those devices.
Great. Those devices are naturally those third-party vendor devices that have been developed, but
Yealink is GA, so they've got one that's available right now, and Poly's not far behind with their bars in terms of releasing. So, and they're a really nice play for like a small 2 or 3, 4 person kind of huddle space, because they're Android, so you don't have to worry about Windows so much. They're sort of plug and play. They're somewhere between a bigger room and an IP phone with a camera. So it's a nice middle ground, and they cost in very well, obviously.
Great stuff. And you obviously looked at the device management solution. What any standout features there that you'd say really kind of add some good value?
Yeah, I think the big thing is it's all in one place. Like that's the play, is you've got these different vendors all bringing different solutions to the market, and Microsoft's trying hard to make the admin experience consistent. There's a counterpoint to that, which is a lot of the devices have custom abilities that require their software to configure. So there's still some kind of tidying up in this space to do between, does the Teams Admin Center do everything for every device, or does it do 90% and you still need the Poly software for this or the Yealink software for that? But it's definitely a step forward.
Yeah, good stuff. And there's also a PowerShell new feature just been released. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So it's a new PowerShell module. So module is just the way they package the command line stuff for Teams. And it's been a few months since we've had a general release of that. The big thing there is resiliency and robustness. So the PowerShell hits an API called Microsoft Graph. As that gets under load, that might throttle your experience, and the PowerShell now just seamlessly deals with that. But it was just a good reminder as well that Microsoft are not just have the web UI, but have a command line admin experience, which is again useful for kind of scale scenarios.
Excellent. And a really interesting one you mentioned was stream video recording in your recent blog. Just tell us about that. I'm quite interested on it.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this. So Stream is Microsoft's corporate YouTube, basically. Like, they wouldn't call it that, but that's what it is. Like, it's YouTube blocked into your org. And what they've added on the mobile apps is the ability to record directly in the app and post. So they're enabling, and I think this is, we've seen this from, like, if you look at the Workplace by Facebook type stuff, they talk a lot about like this kind of more informal experience of the exec should just be more personable, talk to the camera, say what's going on in the business. That's a big cultural shift as well. But this enables that in a very simple mobile first way. Right from the app, you can record, you can edit the video, you can filter, you can highlight, you can literally take different sections, put them all together, one push up to Stream, and then you can share that Yammer, share that in Teams, wherever you want to. I love video as a way to communicate, particularly again in times like this. Yeah, you can send an email out to all your staff saying that, like, you care, but how much more powerful is video in terms of emotion and experience?
Yeah, absolutely. For fully immersive experiences, a lot of vendors call it. Yeah, no, absolutely. This is great. So in terms of the mobile experience. What you're saying is you can really do it all from a mobile app now, and the editing and sorting out the video is much easier. Have you personally experienced it yourself?
Yeah, I've got it. It's generally available, so I've played with it. So yeah, you can literally plays on the videos and highlight. So if you were showing something like a manufacturing update, you could do a circle on the video right on the mobile app and send that video straight away. You can switch cameras, so you go back and front camera. So I think it's a great opportunity for like a more informal, quicker comms between you and your business. I mean, you see we work with lots of big enterprises. They're very good at the quarterly, like well-lit, perfect CEO update, and that's great. But you can intersperse that with actually a little bit less formal, like this is the real world, this is what's going on, and this enables that without like a massive media team and a massive production budget. So really kind of democratizing that experience.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I suppose the use cases, there's lots of them, but I mean, for frontline, first line workers, you could potentially use this, on the front line to pass video back and forth between your teams remotely.
Absolutely, yeah. You could record and sync up, and the nice thing is because it's done in app, it doesn't hit your device like camera roll. So lots of companies don't like people recording on mobile and then posting, because that goes to iCloud or goes to Google. I mean, it's secure, but it's a different place, and from GDPR and ISO, you have to consider that. If you keep it all in app, it doesn't hit that camera roll, so it doesn't hit iCloud or Google. So it's a little bit more compliant and secure from that point of view too.
Very nice indeed. Well, I'll have to have a look at that personally. So just to round things up, Tom, the events have all been postponed, disrupted, that we were due to go to.
Yes.
What's your feelings on the events coming up? It's all a bit uncertain at the moment, but what's your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the right thing to do. It's tricky for the industry, but I think we'll see a lot more online announcements, video announcements. I wonder it will have some kind of lasting impact for people to realise that online is a way to do things. But I'm right in the middle of the virtual MVP Summit, which is normally an in-person event, a couple of thousand people. The team have been great pulling it together. The content's been good. But definitely there is a vibe of people missing the corridor chat, the behind the scenes chat. So the question we're having with our peers is, can you replicate some of that online? Like, do you have a virtual drink session? Do you make sure you schedule for effectively the corridor chat, so you give another 20 minutes between sessions where everybody just overruns and hangs around? So I think there's two, like, physical events are not going away because clearly there's a reason to get together, but I think there'll be more thought on virtual events about how you emulate or replace some of that ad hoc kind of serendipitous communication between people.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a virtual UC Summit, and we're going to be launching again later on in the year around September time. And one of the things we're bringing to the party is virtual networking, in a similar kind of vein to what you were just talking about then. It's, pre-session or post-session kind of just open video networking. It's very cool.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something in that. And it's like internally at Modality, we've implemented these kind of e-coffee breaks, which are just like two people brought together who wouldn't normally talk, spend 15 minutes. I think you have the same concept in a conference, maybe like there's no reason for these two people to talk, but hey, you've been paired up to have a quick chat if you want. It's kind of forcing that corridor bump into each other type scenario, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. There's not many companies out there with this kind of virtual networking available, but as I was looking around the marketplace, there wasn't so many, but I'm sure we're going to see more and more going forward. So it becomes more and more real,
Yeah, and a little bit less like, I mean, us people in this industry, we're used to that kind of stuff, so we can deal with jumping on a video call ad hoc, but that's quite tricky for some people. So kind of giving an excuse or a reason, or it's okay to just have a conversation about the weather, but just make contact. That kind of cultural shift is interesting.
Absolutely. Well, Tom, thank you very much. I know you're a very busy man, so I'll let you get back to it, but great March update, lots happening. I'm sure we're going to hear lots and lots more from Microsoft, so stay tuned, everyone, and thanks very much, Tom. Have a great day.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Cheers.